name's Nadine and I play Cleo in Hollyoaks. If you've been following Cleo's story, you will have just seen her have a heart attack as a consequence of her ongoing battle with bulimia. As it's World Mental Health Day, we are here at Beat. Beat are a charity that help people who are suffering with eating disorders, and they've really helped Hollyoaks with the research and the telling of Cleo's story. We're here to learn about some of the help and support that's available and to chat to some of the charity ambassadors. Let's go in. Hi Hayley, I'm Nadine.
Hi, nice to meet you. Welcome to Beat.
So I'm here with Hayley and Caroline. Can you tell us a little bit about your role here at Beat?
I'm Caroline Price and I'm Director of Services at Beat. I oversee our helpline and online services, our training to school professionals and healthcare professionals, and I oversee NHS contracts as well.
I'm Hayley, I'm the Regional Officer for the North West for Beat. I look after our ambassadors. I also work with universities across the North West and work with a lot of our fundraisers and our supporters and volunteers as well.
So Hayley, how does Beat help people with eating disorders?
Well, we empower people to seek help to try and get them into treatment as early as possible. We work with the friends and family of those people as well and providing the support they need to get them into help as well. We run our helpline services 365 days of the year, so we're never closed.
Yeah, good.
Every contact they have is anonymous. They don't have to disclose who they are.
It's confidential.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Come in, take a seat. So I'm here with the charity ambassadors. So Aidan, can you tell us a little bit about your eating disorder?
Yeah, definitely. So my eating disorder started through sports. So I boxed as an amateur. Started just to lose a little bit of weight, or quite overweight at the time. But then got sort of booked to compete. And I think pressures are obviously all emphasis that's placed on body weight and composition. That sort of manifested in bulimia for myself. So I quit boxing after a couple of fights, hoping that I'd lose everything else that came with it. But again, I'd placed a lot of my masculinity on my boxing, so I already had that sort of stigma of eating disorders, that I was weak and less of a man. And obviously my boxing made me feel, well, that's a manly thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
My name's Alex, I'm 24 years old, I'm a qualified physiotherapist and I've been a Beat ambassador now for about 3 months, but recovered from an eating disorder for about 2 years now. So my eating disorder started when I was at university the first time. I went to do a degree that I wasn't happy with, and there was lots of things going on in my family and my friends, family losses and parents splitting up, and lots of different stressful events that just all happened at once, and it's like, oh my gosh, why is this all happening to me now? So I'd kind of lost control of everything in my life. So for me, the one thing I could gain control of was the way I looked, what I ate, what I exercised, so I just started to exercise more. I started to just eat healthier, but then that just became so extreme that I'd start becoming more reclusive, so I wouldn't go out with my friends, so I wouldn't socialise. A term that I often use is that the lights are on but no one's home, so you just lose who you are. And I just remember coming home at Christmas and I was just dreading going back to university, and I had to make a choice of whether to go back and carry on, but I knew that if I went back, I might not be here today.
Yeah, so I'm Ben, I'm 24 and I'm from Bolton, which is near Manchester. I've been an ambassador since April, so 6 months. I had an eating disorder I've been properly recovered for about 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I started when I was 15 at school, around GCSEs.
Yeah.
And all my mates were getting girlfriends and they were all slim, so I thought that's the reason why I wasn't getting a girlfriend. So I started just dieting, just a normal one, cutting out rubbish for like fruit and stuff. And then it just became like within 6 months went from like eating a healthy diet to like no meals a day, exercising excessively. It just got worse and worse, and then study leave. In them 2 weeks I lost like a drastic amount of weight from not eating. Mum and Dad knew there was something wrong, but we just argued all the time because I wanted to hide it because I was in control, and I thought that if they found out what was wrong with me, then they'd take the control off me.
Yeah.
And then I got hospitalised from that.
Did you?
Yeah, so I was in a general hospital for 6 weeks on like a refeeding programme, and then I was sectioned in an inpatient unit for a year.
I've been guilty in the past of thinking, you've got to be really skinny. That's how it looks like, and that's obviously not true, that's nonsense. Anyone can be affected by it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, anybody, any age, gender, from any background can can get an eating disorder, and the more we educate people, the more we raise awareness and get the message out, and the more we talk about eating disorders, that's going to bring more people forward.
How do eating disorders differ from other mental health issues?
I think with eating disorders, a lot of people perceive them as just a physical illness, but they are actually a mental illness, and that is the message that we want to get out. We want to educate people around spotting those signs and symptoms and the behaviours that people can show. People often think that you can see an eating disorder, and you can't, because obviously it's a mental illness.
People get this stigma of it's just all about food. It's not. It's the whole package. It's everything. You lose who you are. You lose your relationship with yourself, and it's trying to get that back, and you need the support to do that.
When I was at my worst, I got rushed into hospital for cardiac arrest.
Wow, so it's like Cleo's Story.
Yeah,
then.
so like the doctors told Mum and Dad to like fear for the worst and stuff like that because of my heart was so weak. The 6 weeks in the hospital was just to like kind of get me physically safe. But the thing is with like eating disorders, I didn't want to get better. Somewhere deep inside I wanted to get better, but I was so scared of putting on weight because I knew if I put on weight, the illness in my head, it could just constantly call me fat, and it becomes your best mate.
In your head, you know what you're doing is wrong, but for some reason you can't stop. There's this like little person telling you that you've got to do this because you did that yesterday, so you must do it today. And that's what's very difficult, is trying to change those habits.
I always describe it as like having a little voice, sort of, it starts dead quiet and you think it's yourself, and then towards the end it's as if I were in autopilot. I had no control that what I did or anything like that.
Slowly over time I knew that I couldn't carry on this habit, so it was my mum that was my life saviour really. Yeah, and we just talked every day about what I was feeling like, my emotions, why I was acting a certain way, and it was kind of the behavioural change every single day, just telling myself, look, you need to start looking after yourself more, appreciate yourself more. That slowly changed the way I thought about things. Yeah.
When I got to a certain point in the hospital where I went through like 3 months of just constantly self-harm and stuff like that, and then a support worker who I got on really well with, and he was just like very blunt with me, because I think people think, oh my God, he's got a mental health problem, we need to like treat him differently. Like at the end of the day, I'm still a human. Like you don't need to speak to somebody, it's just an illness like cancer is and stuff like that. But he spoke to me, he was blunt with me, he's like, look at the state here, I'm a mess.
Quite brutal, wasn't
yeah,
it?
it was brutal, but you know what, it clicked, but I didn't just straight away start eating everything, and it was just a steady progress.
A slow
and, like I said, it took like 8 years.
There's not one reason why I developed bulimia, there's not one reason why someone else develops anorexia, but just talking and you'll be able to highlight them things. And it doesn't always have to be with a GP or a psychologist. It sounds silly, I spoke to my cat, and like it sounds daft, like I'd cry, and first time I ever did it I'd cry and cat licked my tears off my cheeks, so I thought but even doing that, like I'd say stuff and think, right, I'll mention that next week in my session, because I didn't even realise I was feeling like that.
Do you think it's harder for men to speak out more than women, and what advice would you get, and how do we like break down those stereotypes?
In terms of all men, I'm not sure, but I can speak from example. I'm a normal sort of average kid off a working class estate, and you're always taught to sort of keep things close to your chest. It'll make you vulnerable, don't go telling people your business and things like that. Like you mentioned, there's that stigma that it's only for females. But I think the biggest thing that I'd like to say to anyone from any background, male or female, is, and it's cliche, but just to talk about it, because if you are fearful that your friends aren't going to talk to you, then they're probably not right friends to have in your clique of friends anyway. No one's ever that bothered in terms of they're going to judge you about it, they're just going to care about you.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to somebody who is struggling? Maybe they've got a family member or a friend who they suspect has got an eating disorder, but they themselves don't quite know how to handle the situation.
It is always really difficult because you're worried about how someone's going to react. You're worried, have you misread the signs and actually there's not a problem. But the fundamental bottom line is the worst thing you can say is nothing at all. It's a secretive illness, so people are doing their damnedest to cover it up and to pretend everything's fine, and just somebody actually saying, I've noticed a difference and I think there's something wrong. I'm not quite sure what it is, I'm not a doctor, I'm not labelling you with any names or anything, but I think there's something wrong and I'm really worried about you, and I want you to know you can come to me at any time, and just let them know that you're coming from a place of compassion and understanding, and that you're not judging them.
Definitely. And do you think things like Hollyoaks can help that as well?
Absolutely, especially for that demographic, and being able to give a storyline that is told so honestly. It's a very difficult storyline, but the fact that it's showing the serious nature of, it's a mental illness, but it's a very complex, serious mental illness that can have awful effects for long-lasting damage and can lead to death.
It's good that they're doing it because it highlights the seriousness of the illness, and people think that it's just a case of starving yourself, but they don't understand the health complications of what it can cause. Like I said before, like I had really bad heart and stuff like that, long-term problems, so but that's how far it can go.
Quite a lot of people go through this journey, but some people take a long time to come out of it, and that's why Beat's so good, because it's having somebody to just speak to who's on your level, who understands what you're going through, to slowly change those processes in your brain. And that's a huge thing with Hollyoaks, because if you look at the age group you aim at as well, and it is a vulnerable, vulnerable age group. If you're setting that example of what, you're trying to encourage healthier behaviours, and you're educating as well during the programme, then you're going to speak to so many people. So that's the main thing.
I've absolutely been blown away by speaking to the ambassadors. They were so open and honest and brave, sharing all the stories, and especially Ben's really has affected me, and I think because it's just so similar to Cleo, what Cleo went through in the episode, and meeting someone who's actually been through that and experienced it, and it just again hammers home the seriousness of it and how it can be just a life-threatening mental illness. But as a positive, they've all managed to come through at the other end. They're in recovery, and not only that, they're helping other people just from speaking and sharing their stories, which I think is amazing. So yeah, I've been so lucky to meet all three of them, Alex, Aidan and Ben. You're all amazing.
There's loads of people who've been through it, but nobody really comes out and speaks about it. But you should come out and speak about it, because it's the best therapy, because the more you speak about it, you're putting a negative into a positive.
So I really kind of want to spread the message, encourage people to speak out, not just about eating disorders, but about mental health, because an eating disorder isn't just about the food, it's about kind of that whole ethos of mental health and how you're feeling in yourself.
I'd like to be able to come up with a perfect plan of saying do this, this and this, and you'll get this end result, but just talking and you'll be able to highlight them things.
Even though Cleo's story is fictional, there are so many real people out there who are suffering from eating disorders every day. So if you or someone you know, a loved one, a friend, a colleague, a sibling, anyone you know who's suffering from an eating disorder needs help or support, then please click the link below. Thanks for watching.